melt is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Caf Eaton, point guard from McLean, who just won a big rivalry against Yorktown on a shot that was past half court in overtime. Just an amazing way to end the game. Caf, thanks for doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Well, just to folks that don't know, I know I actually sat next to your mother, who's a wonderful woman at the game, and she was telling me how you traveled a lot with your family, so you haven't been in the area for a long time. So some of the people might not know you, but you're also a very good soccer player, excellent midfielder on a really top team. But when I was thinking about that shot, when's the last time you won a game in soccer or basketball at the buzzer?
Never.
Is that right? Never?
Never. I've lost on the buzzer,
Yeah.
but I've never won a game at the end like that. No.
Wow. How about near the end or a soccer, like a penalty kick? Yeah.
I mean, we lost in state semis 2 years ago on Golden Goal.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you remember that. That sucked.
Yeah.
And we won a game in overtime though, also that year. On not Golden Goal, but right at the end in overtime.
Well, you won a terrible game against Yorktown, against my son's team, which we're definitely going to get to later. But since you made that shot, have you heard from people somewhere else across the country or or people that you didn't expect to hear from about the shot?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from friends when I used to live in Japan. A bunch of them have texted me. My cousins who I haven't seen in a while have texted me. It's been awesome because I mean, people have posted and I've reposted. And it's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the game first, and then we can go back and talk about soccer and other things. Going into the game, you guys started out the season. You had a couple losses, and your team is different than last year. You got a completely different lineup, and I believe you weren't playing the point guard last year. Now you're in the point guard, so but you guys have been on a roll lately. You had a huge win over Fairfax, who's I think one of the best teams in the area. Beat them by 25. Let's talk about that game first. I would have thought Fairfax may have been favored to beat you guys, but you guys beat them easy. What happened in that game?
I think Fairfax is a great team. I just think we match up really well against them. I mean, we had a game plan. We know, I mean, their guard, Ronnie Peters, he's good. He's really big. He is aggressive, but we had a game plan to just try and stop him. I think their offense runs through him. So once we did that, we just knew how they played because we had already played against them earlier in the season, and we hit shots. I mean, Isaac had 25 that game.
Yeah.
It was a great game. It was fun.
Yeah, how did Mark God's brother play? I saw him last year, but I didn't get a chance to see him this year. Is he improving?
I mean, he's good. We know that he's a shooter. He's a very good shooter. So we put max on him and just said, don't let this kid shoot. And he didn't. I think he only had 1 or 2 3-pointers against us.
Right. So coming into the Yorktown game, you guys are 1-0 in the conference or 2-0 in the conference? You're
2-1.
2-1 in the conference. Who'd you lose to in the conference?
Wakefield.
Okay, you lost to Wakefield. So this was a big game for you guys because if you lose to Yorktown lost a tough game to Wakefield, but they'd beaten Marshall. Mm-hmm. So it's a big game for Yorktown if they can defend at home. It gives them an advantage, you guys, over you guys. When you think about district play. So coming into the game, big rivalry. Yorktown McLean is we're a mile apart. What was kind of the game plan going in?
I mean, the game plan was kind of just play our game. I mean, Yorktown's one of the best shooting teams around, and we knew that they wanted to shoot, but they also had an inside presence. I mean, Andrew Maria is a great player. He can really drive. He can play well. So we knew we just had to play our game and just do what we could. And I thought we played really well. We had a couple stretches where we just lack of experience. Like, we're a pretty young team. That hurt us a bit in foul trouble. But other than that, we played really well.
Yeah, my analysis was that there were some breaks that went against you guys in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, you may have had a little bit of a lead, and I thought you guys did a really good job responding. Because sometimes when the breaks go against you, especially packed house in an away game, things can go south quickly. But you guys kind of, you guys were determined. You made some big shots, obviously, and first of all, when you talk about big shots, I think you're down. Well, no, you're down 3, and you guys got a 3-pointer, and I believe it was a turnaround shot. Tell us about that play.
So we were in the timeout, and I mean at that point, both Isaac and Reese, 2 of our starters, have fouled out, and so we have I think we ended the game with 3 people who's their first year playing varsity basketball. So coach drew up a play for Max to get a shot, and I was in the timeout, and I kind of I almost blacked out, and I got on the court and I just totally forgot the play. And so I was running, and one of our best shooters, Jake Bell, and I saw him in the corner open. I was like, I'm just gonna pass it to him. So I pass it to him, and he misses the shot, but Seamus is right there, and he gets the rebound and passes out to Max, and he hits an incredible shot. And I think those were his only points of the game. But I mean, just he was ready in the moment, and he hit that shot. It was awesome.
Yeah, Siemens showed a lot of poise. He hit a big 3. This is the first time I've ever saw him play. He's a freshman. Is that correct? Yeah, he plays with a lot of poise. Has he always been in the area? Is he new to this area?
I think he moved here in 7th grade.
Okay.
From Lithuania.
Oh wow. Okay. And with him and you got your old soccer nemesis Dante Tasato. He didn't get a chance to play, but you got with those 2 guys. Those were 2 great additions to your team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then before we get to the we made the shot. Before we get to the overtime, the Bell brothers. Now I understand, like you, they're 2-sport athletes. They're lacrosse players, right? Mm-hmm. So is basketball their second sport, or are they like you? They play both equally.
I think they play both equally. I'm pretty sure they definitely both love lacrosse and basketball.
Yeah, yeah. And what was a little awkward moment was that I was sitting next to your mother, who I just met, and it just so happens my old next door neighbor, he's Gavin Doherty's father, and you guys are jawing at each other the whole game. And it's a little awkward because you're Artie Doherty is talking to your mother, and they're having a great conversation, but it is a little awkward because you guys are going after it. What were you guys talking about the whole game?
I mean, it's just gamesmanship, I think. He's just trying to get in my head. I'm trying to get in his head. He has his fans right there. So it's a bit easier for him, but it's just fun. All of it's so fun.
Yeah, I had a great picture of you guys, John, talking to each other, and then the crowd's right behind. Can you hear can you hear the individual voices in the crowd as well?
No, the only person I heard was Christian Haddad, because he's my soccer teammate. So I heard him. I was like, I recognize that voice. I looked over his head. He was there. But right. No, I can't hear them. I just hear noise.
I'm sure Christian was pissed off you made that shot. Well, let's go to overtime. So it looked like in overtime you guys were in pretty good shape, but they picked up a loose ball, and they come down and they score. It was not an air ball, but it was a shot off. It was off enough where it was hard to box out. Andrew snuck in there like he does, got a rebound, put it back up. So now it's a tie game. You guys didn't think about calling timeout, and I don't even know if you had timeouts left.
I don't think we did.
I don't think you did, but you don't want to call them if you don't have them. And you threw the ball in. And so, did you guys have any idea what you were going to do, or you were just trying to get the ball in play?
Just get the ball in play. I mean, all year we love to play fast. We try and play fast. So all year, coaches just get out the net. Like, we have drills to do that. So I just got out the net as soon as I could, and just got it out.
Yeah. And so I think Jake Bell, I believe, made the pass to you, right? Okay. And so you knew you had to shoot it. You probably knew the time was almost up. When it left your hand, did you have a notion that it could go in?
It felt pretty good leaving my hand. I was like, I shot it, and for a split second, I was like, oh my God, this might go in.
Yeah. And I mean, I was there, it was amazing. It was really special to be next to your mother when that happened, because her reaction was priceless. She was actually worried about you getting hurt in the cellar. She says, don't hurt him. So she was more worried about that. And then I guess once you once it settled down and they picked you up, I guess she was less worried. But what did it feel like when it went in? I mean, just incredible, huh?
I mean, that's probably the best I've ever felt. When it went in, I mean, that game was so awesome. It was such a hard game. I mean, we had like three of our starters weren't playing by the end of the game. So just to win that and have people step up and then just to have it end like that was incredible. And then I just blacked out and I just started running around the court. It was awesome.
Well, that's the soccer in you. In America, in basketball, when we celebrate, we just sit there, they pick us up or tackle us. And it's in Europe in soccer when they run around and people, that's part of the celebration. So that was kind of only people that follow soccer knew what that was. But that was very much a soccer celebration, and it was very special. Did you watch the celebration over again a few times?
I've seen it a couple times, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny just like seeing the different things that happen and just seeing my face. Like I just had no idea what's going on. I was just running.
Yeah. Because you remember, can you remember those moments, or is it pretty much?
I don't really remember them that well.
Yeah.
I just remember hitting the shot and then just sprinting.
So what did Coach O'Brien, right? What did Coach O'Brien say after the game? What was his comments after the win?
After the win, he basically was just like, that's why we all play basketball. That's why we all play sports. He gave, I mean, Peter Stoss, he hasn't played minutes all year, number 10 for us.
Mhm.
And he came in and he hit 5 free throws. He had 7 points.
That's right, he did. Yeah.
And he just gave him his compliments. He's like, that's why we practice. That's why you play hard all year, just to come in and have those moments.
Yeah. Well, when you think about what's next, it was a very important shot. I mean, if you would have won it by a layup, it would have been good enough. The way you won it, I mean, I hope I sent it to ESPN. I know a reporter there. Hopefully, it'll get some national coverage. Who knows? But even if you would have just won by a layup, it would have been an incredible win, because now you're 2-1, right, into the conference.
We're 3-1 now.
I'm sorry, you're 3-1 in the conference now, and obviously Marshall is going to be tough. Wakefield is going to be tough, but every game is going to be tough in the conference. What is your kind of mood, looking forward after this win?
I mean, we're just excited. Every win in the conference is so important. So to get one out of the way like that is incredible. And I mean, next we have Marshall, which is going to be such a tough game. So it's just everything, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. So you've made postseason runs and soccer, and I'm sure you've done like state cup, whatever stuff in soccer as well, because there's so many opportunities to do that. So a little bit what that's about. Do you let yourself at all look ahead, in terms of basketball, or are you just trying to stay, in the district play and try to win as many games as possible?
I mean, in basketball, I'm definitely staying in the moment. We just need to win as many games as possible and put ourselves in the best position. But soccer, it's a bit harder because we have a lot higher expectations. And especially last year, I think we looked ahead too much.
Yeah.
And we were so good last year. But this year again, we just want to win it all. I mean, that's what it always is.
But don't you want to win it all in basketball? What you can say?
I want to win it all in basketball, but basketball's it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
I really want to win the district though, and I think we have a real chance at that.
Yeah, I mean, for you guys to win it all in basketball, you guys have a talented team. O'Brien's a great coach. You definitely have the pieces, but basketball is one of these games where it's a tournament game, and the breaks have to go your way. You guys got to play as a team. A lot of things have to fall in place. Soccer, your talent level is definitely, stronger and higher than almost any other team, and probably the highest. It was great last year. My guess this year is going to be just as high as even higher. I don't know whether Atu is going to play for Herndon or not, being in the DC United Academy, but I'm sure great players are going to pop up somewhere, so it's not going to be easy either. I did want to ask you, as you know, one of my favorite local athletes is Matthew Leonard, and the thing I like about him and I like about you is you guys are two sport athletes. A lot of the people that you compete against in basketball, they focus on basketball all the time. They get private trainers in basketball. Basketball is their life, but you can't do that. Soccer is so intense and so all encompassing. So I know what you guys go through. Do you enjoy? Do you ever thought about only playing a sport, or do you enjoy being a two sport athlete?
I've never thought about only playing one sport. I think playing two sports is priceless, because you just get to experience both sides of everything. You get to experience two things, and being able to play two sports, especially for your school, is like that's what it's all about, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's people who don't play for the school we had a kid on our team, Daniel Sandell had to miss the state final because they had a showcase that weekend. And, we lost to Hilton in the state final. And, he was a sophomore then. And I kept wondering, I'm like, these are games you just can't get back. And I mean, you play a million club soccer games in your career. And I mean, every game's important and it's incredible to win, but you can't get those games. You can't get those high school games back. I remember every one of my district games, my senior year of basketball. I played for Robinson and, we're 500 team, but every moment I remember, my last game I remember. And then, Chandler, every single game that he played his 2 years, I remember every game and you just can't get those moments back. Club is wonderful. It's a high level. It's much higher level than you play at high school, but it's different.
It is different. Yeah, club is just, I mean, you just go out there and play, but it's a lot harder to have like this big team mentality when you're playing club. But when you're playing school, for your school, it's just like you want to win so bad, not just for yourself, but for everybody.
Yeah. Do you think there's a sense that the fact that you're a two-sport athlete helps you in pressure situations? I mean, you guys compete so much. I mean, the soccer schedule is ridiculous. I mean, so you're in these pressure situations all the time. Whereas if let's say you train all the time, let's say you're Jose Fudd, a wonderful basketball player. You train for the three-pointers, you train come off screens, you train so much to be a better basketball player. Unlike you can't do that as much. You don't have that time, but you're so used to being in clutch situations. Do you think there could be an advantage to being in two sports in the sport you're playing at the particular time?
I think there definitely is. I think you just have more experience being in those moments. Like I've played in in state tournaments for soccer. So now I can think to myself, like I've been here before, and you just can't even think about it that much. You just have to go out there and play.
Have you ever gotten pressure to choose a sport from a coach?
I definitely have, yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, I've just talked to them and they understand.
Mhm.
And it's always been fine in the end.
How about your parents? How do they feel about it?
No, they really want me to play two sports. They've never wanted me to specialize, and they think it's big, not just like for me, but for like my injury risk. They think it's much safer, not safer, but it's much better to play two sports and have a rest, especially from soccer, where it's just like a year-round schedule all the time. They've wanted me to always have a rest and play basketball.
Yeah. Well, how do you compare the intensity of a high school basketball game to a high school soccer game? Like for example, as you know, I was a big fan of you guys last year. I went to a lot of your soccer games. The moment you score, it's such huge moments. Whereas basketball, you have lots of different moments. The way you won the game the other day is kind of the exception. Basketball, there's like 50 big moments in a game. There's so many big moments, even though some are crucial. Soccer, will come down to a few big moments, and it's crazy. How do you compare the intensity of a basketball game to a soccer game?
I mean, they're both incredibly intense, but I think in very different ways.
Mhm.
Soccer, it's like just, yeah, especially in high school, you just have to run hard and you feel like you're going to get hit every play. And you just have to be ready all the time in case that moment comes where you have a shot, you have a chance to take the lead, you have a chance to score. But in basketball, it's like one every single moment matters so much. Like our coach was,
In basketball.
in basketball, yeah.
Mhm.
Our coach was saying, like in this Yorktown game, he thought it was gonna come down to the wire like it did. And if it's say like a 4-point game, we get one stop in 2 quarters. Like say we get one extra stop in them in 2 quarters and we win the game by 4 points.
Mm.
And those moments are so important. And it's really interesting to see like the two differences.
Yeah. Well, playing overseas and having a lot of different experiences um, that you have. I saw my past to get into the game. Has that been helpful to your career to have lived in Japan? I think you said, and other places, or would it have been easier for you just to grow up in? Because we have such great sports programs in Northern Virginia. Do you think it's been helpful, or how's that influenced your development?
I think experience wise, it's definitely been helpful because I mean, I just have all these different experiences where I play in all these different countries and different atmospheres. So being in these atmospheres doesn't really bother me that much.
Mhm.
I think development wise, because I mean, no, Northern Virginia has such great youth sports. I think maybe I would have been better at my sports if I had stayed here, but I wouldn't trade that.
Yeah. Do you want to play in college? Do you want to play sports in college? And which sport would you prefer playing?
I mean, I don't really want to play sports in college.
Mhm.
I I just think if I had to choose, I think I would play soccer in college because I've just played that for so much longer than basketball, but I don't really want to.
Yes, it's so interesting. Whenever I walk around uh, Charlottesville with my son Chandler, I see Northern Virginia basketball soccer players everywhere, and so like, it's amazing how all these great athletes are and they've given everything for their sport, and I think it makes you a better student, makes you competitive in the classroom, but all that work they put in, and they go to college and they really have fun. Chandler in the intramural championship, he played against Nathan June, and he played against it was uh, Luca Ruffi um, and Tyler Peduzzi. I mean, it's amazing because there are so many great players like yourself who are just going to school and in college. Intramurals are amazing. There's so many great athletes that you play against that you think you're not being able to compete because you're not playing on the college team, but it's not the case. You'll compete as much as you want to compete. So, um, well, anyway, let's get to soccer. I was talking about my son Chandler, and I'll tell you one of the biggest, toughest moments I've ever experienced, probably the toughest moment of his career, is when they lost you guys in regionals, and it was a devastating loss. The year before, we had gotten all the way to the state tournament and state final, and we lost some great players, but we just had an amazing year. I think at some point we were rated in the top couple in the country, and I think we were 11-0 at one point, and we didn't have a deep team, but we were really good. And we played you guys late in the regular season, beat you 4-0. And so we play you guys in the tournament, and Nate Woods had an injury, and our goalie didn't play, but we were so confident. We had so many weapons. And so, it didn't even occur to us that we could lose that game to you guys, even though you guys have a lot of really good players. Keith Leonard kept telling me about all you guys. He said, don't sleep on McLean. You guys came out and just played an incredible game. And, we don't even have any excuses because even though we're missing some people, you guys played so well. What are your memories of that game, if any?
I mean, I feel like that regional tournament was kind of like the start of my high school soccer. Because I mean, I don't know if you remember Will Mahoney.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He had been
He's a center
out.
back, right?
Yeah, center back six. He had been out for a good part of the season, and we were not very good. I think we were below 500 going into
Yeah.
playoff. But he came in and he just took control of the team basically, and everybody just started playing better and better. I wasn't getting many minutes at all until playoffs that year, and we just kind of got on a run. I mean, we beat Oakton in the regional quarterfinals, who was just won their district. They were number one, and we beat them at their house. So we were just very confident going into that Yorktown game. And I don't know if you remember, but Yorktown had knocked us out in this regional semis the same game the year before.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
we had some bad blood. We really wanted to win that game. And we played almost a perfect game. I mean, we played exceptionally well that game. Joe Margita scored that game.
Oh, that was Joe.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I mean, we were lucky to that was a great game. That was one of the most fun games I've ever played in.
Khan's goal was such a class goal. I believe you made the pass on that, didn't you? Did
It was
you?
Nathan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was a really, really tough moment for Chandler because he got in a switch and he was moved up to the 10, and so he had to come all the way back. And by the time he got back, that goal was in the back of the net, and so that was one of the most tough moments for him. I mean, it happens in soccer, but and the way he received the ball, switched to his left, put it in the upper corner. It was such a composed goal. And we had our opportunities to come back. I mean, you guys were defending the last 15, 20 minutes. You guys were all out to defend. everything we tried, we just could not get the ball in the back of the net. Well, look, let's move on because I know I did not see the game in state, and I didn't know you guys lost in a golden goal. So you lost in the regional final to Langley, but both teams qualified for state. And so what happened next?
So then we played at West Potomac, who just won their region, and that was also a crazy game. I mean, all these games are crazy in states. It was 0-0 going to overtime. We had dominated the first half, they had dominated the second. And then with about 2 minutes left to go in the first overtime, I got a chance and I put one in the back of the net. That was a great moment. And then we just defended again. And it was Mahoney locking down our defense in the back. And we ended up winning that game. And then we went to state semis. We played against James River. And I think they were 19-0 going.
They were fast.
They were very good. But I still think to this day we should have won that game. They had one of their goals was they put it around our wall into the near post because it was like we weren't ready. And that was one of their goals. And then we had, just to show you how insane that was, we had a kid who had been pulled up from JV, came in the game, and he scored a header to tie it with like 10 minutes left.
That's amazing.
And then we went into overtime and then golden goal overtime, and they scored off an own goal corner. And that was devastating.
Yeah.
But
That's amazing that you go from having a losing record and losing Gage when you're perennial scorers. And the year before, you were saying that we had put you out. Gage was crucial in that game. And you guys get Mahoney back and you go all the way in a golden goal away from going to the state final. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my good buddy Bo Amato's Langley team won it, and your teammate Dante DeStato got his ring. Well, let's talk a little bit about last year's team. Now, I forgot your coach's name.
Jameson.
What's that?
Leland Jameson.
Oh yeah, Jameson. You get a new coach. I guess all the pressure of the year before, your other coach is like, I gotta get away from these crazy people. But you get a new coach last year, and you guys, all year long, you guys are a really good team. Your attack is insane. You have Gage back. You got Joe Margita, who's more, he's a sophomore now. You're junior now. You got Otta, amazing player. And you got Luke Hamill. I'm gonna forget some of these guys, but I mean, your team is just. The kid went up to Pennsylvania to go to college. Little guy's great player. I mean, he's just such a solid team, and you guys are rolling through the year. And then I believe late in the year you lose to Herndon, and that was district play, and that was like the first kind of blemish. All of a sudden, you guys are human. Everything had been really easy for you guys. What happened in that Herndon game?
So that Herndon game, we felt invincible going into that game. And then we played at Herndon, and they didn't think of us like that. Almost every team we had played had been scared of us, and Herndon wasn't. And I was injured that game, so I've only played like 5 minutes because I was limited. And they came at us. I mean, they're a very good team. They're a good team. Their defense with those two, they have two like 6'4" center backs, and they're super physical. And then of course, I mean, you got the two up top who are incredible as well. And they weren't scared, and they kind of gave us a punch in the mouth. They beat us. And that was tough for us because we just expected to win every game almost. We expected to just go out there, play our game, and just roll over teams. And we didn't.
Yeah. Do you think that was if you would have beaten them that game, do you think it would have helped you guys the next time you played them? Do you think that was in the back of your mind, the fact that they had made you feel less invincible?
I think it definitely was in the back of our minds. I don't know if it would have helped us. It was in the back of our minds, but I like to think, at least for me, it just made me want to beat them even more. It made me play even better in the district final.
Yeah. Yeah. Their team, I think the reason why no one really knew what to expect from them is the year before they didn't play well, even though they were talented. They had a talented team, but they had struggled and lost, I think, almost every district game. And then, so I don't, and then a lot of their players are DA players and didn't play in all the regular season games. So you never really knew who was going to show up. And then, they have a really, great coach, Coach Orzani, who coached for the first time. So I think they kind of surprised everyone. And then Atu Basong, his first touch, his creative way to turn is insane. I mean, the ball is kicked to him. Next thing you know, he's through on goal, and you're like, what just happened? So, that was a really special team. But I mean, you guys didn't lose to them in the regionals. It was Centerville that you guys lost in the region. Is that right?
Mm.
Yeah, that was another game. I mean, to be honest with you, Centerville played really well. I felt like that game was like kind of the game you played against us when you guys beat us the year before, and that maybe you guys are better on paper than them, but they came out and played really well that day. That game was a dogfight.
That was a great game. I mean, I hate to make excuses. We had, I think that on that day they deserved to beat us, but we had about, I think, 3 of our starters out. We had Jalen was injured, our goalkeeper was injured, Dylan, but they deserved to beat us. They played an incredible game that day, and they finished their chances.
Yeah, I forgot Dylan was out, and you did have some injuries, and I mean, it was like us the year before, except for the fact I think you guys were probably deeper than us. The year before, 2 years ago, we were so deep. Last year's the year before last team, we weren't as deep. So when Nate didn't play, I mean, he had scored like 20, something goals. It was a little bit tougher for us, but as you just said, there's no excuses. I mean, you have to. That's what your 12th and 13th men are for. You got to next man on. You got to come in. You got to win. And I was at the game. It wasn't like you guys didn't play well. I was just surprised, and they had some really good players. And I was just surprised that they were able to go toe to toe with you guys. And the goal that they scored, I will say, one of the goals they scored, if you had your center backs there, they wouldn't have scored it. It was, you guys just kind of lost your shape, and it was one of those things, and they were able to expose you. But anyway, let's go to this year's team real quickly, and I'll let you go. I know probably got a lot on your plate. All those great players that I named earlier. Is everyone going to play soccer this year? What I hate to have happen is everyone's going to hype McLean up again, and then I find out week before season, nah, he's not going to play. They won't let him play. So you think everyone's going to play this year?
Everybody that I know is going to play. I think Ada is a bit on the ropes, but he's going to play. Like, I don't see how he doesn't play. And there's also, I mean, we have Dante this year, which is huge for us. And there's also a chance, I don't know if you know Michael Molina.
I don't know him.
He plays SYC MLS next.
Oh.
And there's a chance that he's going to play too, which is be huge for us. So, I mean, we have a huge chance this year.
Yeah. Have you heard rumors of another team being stacked? I mean, what generally happens is, like, for example, Yorktown, there's so many quality, club players that they're going to be kids that we don't even know about are going to come in and do great, just like Ada came last year or whatever. So you never know who's going to show up and who's going to be good. Have you heard any rumors of anyone being good this year?
I mean, I've heard Herndon has some transfers.
Oh, that's right.
And to play for Herndon. I mean, you just always hear things.
Yeah.
I heard WNL is going to be good. Wakefield's going to be good. It just seems like everybody's going to be good. I mean, our district is incredible at soccer, so you just have to go into every game thinking it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, I can't wait for soccer. I know you're occupied right now, but I really can't wait for soccer season. What about, have you talked much to Dante? Do you know him pretty well? I mean, obviously, I know you competed against him. Did you guys play club together? Do you know him pretty well?
Yeah, we're on the same club team. We've been on the same team since freshman year. So, yeah, he's one of my best friends. I know him really well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people realize Dante, by the end of the year, probably was the best player on that Langley team. Now, Billy O had an incredible postseason. He had so many clutch goals. Can't take away from Billy. But that Langley team was balanced. It wasn't like they had the superstars, even though they had a lot of high-level club players. They were just very solid. But Dante came in, he played some striker, made some goals. I mean, when when Ona came back off injury, that was the difference in that team. Ona was a really good player, and then it allowed Dante to play some striker. But as Dante continue to improve his game, and do you expect a lot of him this year?
I mean, we expect a lot of him. I agree with you. I think he was the best player on that team by the end of the year. And I have to say, last year, I'm glad he wasn't on Langley, because that was a bit bad for us. But I mean, he's a great player and he's only gotten better. I mean, we have, I don't know if you know Graham Corey.
No.
So he was on our team last year, but he had injuries all year. He's on our club team. He's incredible. So I mean, I like to think that Graham and I were a big part of Dante coming to McLean.
Yeah.
So now that we have us three playing soccer, it's gonna be huge for the team.
One thing people don't realize is with soccer, if you want to be successful, your high level players have to talk other high level players into playing, because when they first hear about high school soccer, well, I don't know, the level's not that great. What if I get hurt? And there's going to be so many excuses. It's up to guys like you to do. I know Derek Leonard is trying. There's a couple of really good players at Marshall, and one of them is a Bethesda player. I think maybe one or two of them are. But it's up to the good players to get the other players to play. That's that. Every school has got great players in the building. It's just a matter of maybe not as great as McLean, but they've got players. Yorktown last year had that guy. I forgot where he ended up going. Maybe Notre Dame or a great place. James didn't play a minute of high school soccer. And if they would have had him out there, it would have been a huge difference for that team, because they still had Melly and all those great players. So anyway, that's what you guys got to do. You got to get up there and you got to talk people into playing.
Yeah.
So, well, look, Caf, this has been great. I've always liked watching you compete. You've got great movement in soccer, the way you move and you make the big pass and do a little bit of everything. You defend when you need it, and the same in basketball. I'm a big fan. I'm so glad that you're having continued success. I have to admit, when you play in Yorktown, I don't cheer for you too hard. But that was a great moment. If someone had to make that shot, I'm glad it was you against us the other day.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So, well, look, I'm sure I'll see you before the end of the season. Definitely, we'll be seeing you during soccer season. So, if I don't talk to you, have a great rest of your basketball season, and look forward to talking to you and seeing you in soccer.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, that's great. Good seeing you guys. Say hi to your mom for me.
Well, oh, thank you. See ya.
All right, take care, buddy. Yep.